I'm Lynn. Welcome to my kitchen again. I am making stromboli today. And what is stromboli? It's we always used to call it calzones, and I didn't know the difference, and I've recently found out that it's what I've been making and calling calzones all this time is really stromboli. So let's call it stromboli. It's dough bread with it's filled with something. So and typically with lunch meat and cheese and that sort of thing, but really it's a great thing to make ahead for lunches, and you can really put anything in it. And I say that with, really not anything, because you don't want to load it up with all kinds of things that are sort of high moisture and then have it be soggy because it's bread. So I use lunch meat. I usually use, I used to make one pepperoni and ham and cheese, and the other would always be salami and ham and cheese. I don't like pepperoni. But you can put chicken, so like a buffalo chicken one. You could make it like a pizza and put some sauce, cheese. You can have it be vegetarian and just put some veggies in there, like broccoli and cheese, that sort of thing. What you want to make sure is that whatever you're putting in it is cooked, and nothing too watery, nothing. So watch out which vegetables you put in it. Make sure that it's not super, super wet, because it's dough and you don't want soggy, wet dough. So that being said, the first thing you got to do is get your yeast going. And so what we're going to need is, we're going to start with the dough. We're going to need flour, sugar, yeast, any kind. I have a stand mixer. You don't need one. You can mix it with your hands. That's fine as well. Warm water, salt, and olive oil. That's the dough that I use, and it seems to work really well. So I'm going to get started. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And again, the laptop's there and you're there, so hopefully I won't get too disoriented. All right, so let's start. So the first thing we need to do is we need warm water. Hello. And baking is a fussy thing. It's got to be just right. So it calls for water that is between 100 and 110. So I'm going to take my water's temperature over here, see what we're at. I have a little digital thermometer here, and hopefully I made it a little too hot, figuring I had to talk for a while, and then see where we are. Maybe it's still a little too hot. It's actually, it's kind of perfect right now. Okay, good. So we'll get that in there. It's a 1 1/3 cup. And we need a tablespoon of sugar. So this is a half, so I'm going to do 2, obviously. And 1 packet of yeast. And we can't get it open. Why? Why? Why did they make things so difficult? Oh, it's real. All right, the whole thing's going in. So it's 2 1/4 teaspoon. This is the right measurement for that. And just kind of whisk that together. All right. And that's all you're going to do for now. We're going to let that sit for 5 minutes. So I'm going to pause you and we'll be right back. Maybe. All right, I'm back. The yeast is gotten all foamy and doing its thing. It's alive. All right, so now we can move on to the next step, which is we're going to mix the flour and then get to kneading it and get going on that, and then we'll have to let that rise for a little bit. We'll take another pause and we'll show you how to put it all together. So this step, what I need is 1 1/4, no, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to throw that in, and I'm going to throw in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. All right, and then I'm going to throw in my flour, regular flour, and I'm going to just start putting it in a little at a time here. Get the dough going. Don't want to put it on high right away, and don't want to throw it all in right away, because it'll make a huge mess. that go for 2 minutes. And it'll just mix itself up, and then we're gonna put it on the board and knead it a little bit. Hopefully you can hear me. Like I said, I'm gonna put salami, ham, and cheese in mine, and brush it with a little olive oil and parsley, or butter and parsley you can use. There it goes. Okay. I'm going to do that for a couple of minutes, and then we'll knead it a little bit, and then we're going to let it rest. We always took these things to parties. You know, they always disappeared. They're very good. They're good for lunches, like I said. There's lots of things you can put in them. Make it like a pizza. You can just do like cheese and then have like a marinara dipping sauce. Like I said, buffalo chicken, and have like a blue cheese dipping sauce. Plenty of things you can do if you use your imagination. Another one of those things I like to do because it's more of a method. And again, it's Stromboli, so it's long. You cut it, you know, this way versus a calzone, which I don't know, is folded differently, and I guess that's really the only difference. I don't know, I'm not Italian and I'm not a Stromboli expert. I've been making it a long time, and I just followed the recipe that someone gave me, and everybody seems to love it. So it's kind of been out of my life for a little while. I'm not even really sure why, but it's back. I'm making it again. It's great to just munch on for lunch or football game, whatever. See where we are. Another, still very, very sticky. So we're going to give it maybe another minute. Dough can be fussy. I've actually, truth be told, when I made this before, I always used to buy the dough and had, you know, mixed results. I get it from the supermarket, and most of the time it came out really, really good, but I started making my own dough, and it seems to work out better. I don't know why. Probably just fresher, I guess. You can go to the where you get your pizza, and I have heard they will sell you some dough. I would check first before I went and did that. I've never done that. I'm too shy to do that. I don't know. I would feel strange for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm making my own dough now. I made it just a week or so ago, and it came out really, really good. The dough came out great. And like I said, dough is one of those fussy things that sometimes it doesn't rise. And if you've ever watched any of those baking shows, you know that, you know, even the best bakers sometimes, they prove it too long, you know, it doesn't prove long enough, and sometimes it can come out flat. It also is going to be affected by what you put in it. These are good, actually. If you put too much cheese, it's bound to ooze out all over the place. It's still delicious. And if you put something in it that's too wet, it might not, like you might have it a little bit raw in the middle. So you got to be careful what you put in it. Don't put too much, and you can experiment with it, because, you know, you might make it the first time and it doesn't come out perfect. If it's cooked long enough, and, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be delicious either way. All right. Whoa. Okay. Let's get this out of here. So we're going to flour some stuff because it's going to stick. It's very sticky right now. I'm going to knead it and get it to be a little bit unsticky. And it's warm. And it smells so good. Who doesn't like fresh bread? Could eat the whole thing. Probably should have floured my hand a little better. Get this sticky dough out. It makes two. This makes two. The last time I made this, I didn't have enough lunch meat to do two regular, so I put I put cinnamon. I mixed cinnamon and brown sugar and butter together, and I made it sweet, and it was really good. It was a little too good. We ate the whole thing. All right, so we're gonna just play around with it a little bit, knead it for a few minutes. Put a little elbow grease in there. Get that gluten going, and oh my goodness, sticky, sticky. Don't worry too much about having to add flour, it's fine. Just keep kneading it till it's a little less sticky. That's what you're looking for. And you're looking for poking it and it comes back. Can you see? So let's get it where you can see a little better. You don't need to see me. See what I'm doing. There we go. Just kneading and kneading more flour again. It's very sticky still. Put a little muscle into it. All right. All right, I'm going to keep kneading this because I need to knead it for a few more minutes. So instead of you watching me do the same thing over and over again, I'm going to pause it again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knead it a little more. I'm going to put it in a bowl that's been sprayed and with nonstick, and I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to put it, I turned my oven on 170 and then I turned it off. And that's a nice warm place to put your dough while it's proving. And it's just because it's winter and it's difficult to find a warm place for it to do its proving. So that's what I'm going to do, and I will come right back. Okay, I am back. I took my dough out of the oven. Now, after I kneaded it, I put it in a bowl that was sprayed with nonstick, or you can use olive oil, and I put it in an oven that had been turned on to 150 to 170, and then shut it off, put it in there for about an hour. I don't think I told you the time for that. So it's about an hour. So you want it to double in size. So if it doubles up before an hour, you can take it out and use it. So I took it out. I punched it down. Just give it a good whack. Sometimes it just will deflate by itself. And then I divided it in half. So I have half here, and I'm going to roll it out and show you what to do next. Give you a little better view here. Okay. So this is half. The other half is in the bowl over there. So you want to flour your board or your countertop, whatever you're using. And we're just going to roll it out. You want a rectangle, maybe 12 by 8, 10, something like that. Really whatever size you want. You don't want the dough to be too thick, so you want to roll it out quite a bit. Sometimes, like you're seeing what's happening here, the dough you roll it out and it stretches back. Sometimes it just needs to sit and rest a little bit longer, but we're going to work with it. I also chopped up some parsley. I've got some olive oil. You can use melted butter, so we're going to brush the center of it before we put the meat on it. We're going to brush it with some olive oil and some herbs. You can put Italian seasoning, we're sticking here, or oregano, depending on what you're using for your filling. So if you're using, you don't have to put any, actually. You can even leave that step out completely. You don't have to put butter or olive oil inside it at all. It definitely adds to the flavor, but based on whatever you're using for a filling, you could put some garlic in the olive oil if you're doing like buffalo chicken. So just use your imagination. There's lots and lots of things you can do with this. This dough is being a little fussy. That's all right, we'll get there. We're getting there. Use a little muscle. Get it rolled out. So obviously, if it starts out as a circle, making a rectangle is, a little bit challenging. But so what I usually do is get it rolled out maybe a little bit longer, a little bit bigger than I really want it, and then kind of just smoosh it into a rectangle, kind of sort of. It doesn't really need to be a rectangle. I mean, that's actually probably a little bit smaller, but for the interest of getting this done and showing you, I'm going to stop right there. I am going, so I have parsley and olive oil here. Just gonna brush the inside. Sometimes I put garlic. I didn't this time. Just brush it lightly. Don't want to saturate it. Don't pour it on there. Like I said, you can use butter here too. Butter or olive oil. All right. So there's that. Alexa, stop. I don't even know what she's timing. All right. So we're going to start layering our lunch meat. I'm going to start with my ham. I've got ham just kind of thin. You don't want big, giant, thick pieces. You can overlap them a little bit. Actually, cut that one. If you make it too full, you end up, it ends up taking a long time to cook in the middle, and it can be a little bit doughy in the middle. So don't put too much. Don't overstuff. If you put too much cheese, it'll bust open, it'll ooze. Which, I mean, it's still yummy. It doesn't matter. And if it's ugly, if it breaks open, it doesn't matter. It's still delicious. So I put salami. Sometimes I do pepperoni, but in this case, doing salami. And I got provolone here. You can do any good melting cheese, American cheese, fontina. You can do cheddar. If you're making it with something a little bit spicy, you can use like a pepper jack or something like that. All right, so I'm putting some mozzarella now. Just lay it on. Okay, last one. Okay, and then we're gonna roll it up. Just kind of flap it over like that. Kind of want to roll it a little bit tight. And see, I left a little gap. It's still gonna probably push. Try not to shove everything out. So kind of tuck it as you go. There we go. And then I always tuck the ends in. You could cut them, but I tuck it, and then I always cut that one off. That's sort of like the cook's piece. You get to eat that part. So I'm going to flip it because I want to pinch the ends closed. So just pinch so it doesn't, less of a chance of it busting open. And you know, it will. It might. Don't worry about it. As long as it doesn't completely, you know, unroll and open. And if this doesn't pinch together for you, well, just wet your fingers a little bit. And that helps seal it up a little bit. You're going to put it seam side down anyway, but you still want to do that. And then you want to vent it. So make like 2 or 3. You can get fancy if you want to do some kind of design on there. And I'm going to make an egg wash. I need a fork. Hang on. Grab my pan while I'm over here. Pan. Cookie sheet. Just going to make a quick egg wash. So that's just 1 egg and a little bit of water. You can use olive oil or butter on the top. Sometimes that tends to make it brown a little too quickly, but completely up to you. Just going to egg wash it. Don't put too much. All right. Pretty. And then whatever herb you used inside, if you want to throw a little bit on top just to make it pretty, you could do that. I'm going to grab some parchment paper, which I should have done before. So I want to put it on parchment because if and when it does bust open, it will make a mess of your pan. So you want to put something underneath there. And if you don't have parchment, just spray it. Spray it and don't worry about it. All that gooey cheese. Come on, stay. Just transfer it over here. All that gooey cheese gets on there, and it's delicious. All right, this is going in the oven. Hello. Me now, I guess. You have to. It's going in the oven, 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. Okay, and you want to keep an eye on it after a little while. I usually will start watching it around 20 minutes because If it's starting to get too brown, you're going to want to cover it. Just put a little bit of tin foil over it. It doesn't usually happen, and it's usually fine, but it usually takes about 30-35 minutes. So I'm going to put that in, and then we'll check it out when it's all done. Hello, I am back. So, Stromboli is out of the oven, and as promised, she busted open a little bit. Let's check it out. Complete breach of the side. Why? I don't know. It happens sometimes it doesn't. So, but you can see why you want to use parchment. The cheese oozed out a little bit. That's delicious, by the way. Don't throw that away. Eat that. I'm going to take it off and cut it. Put it on my board here. And let you see that, not me. So another way you can tell if it's done other than just the time, this took 35 minutes, 34-ish minutes, but bread, tap it, it sounds hollow, then that's usually a good sign that it's done. I'll show you, I'll just cut the end a little bit. Now typically I would not, do you like my slippers? I wouldn't cut this right away. But, you know, I'm making a video, so I'm going to cut it. Because it'll set, even though it's busted open, it'll set and it'll be fine. When it cools off, it'll be fine. Don't fret if it busts open. It's cheesy and oozy. See, it's really too soon to cut, but that's okay. I'm doing it for you. Ah! Doesn't want to cut. So we're just going to do that because that's all cheese. I'm gonna eat that when you're not watching. Anyway, so you see why I tucked the end. The end piece doesn't have a lot of meat or anything in it, so I don't usually serve that. I just cut the rest up and I eat the end pieces or I give them to my husband. Anyway, that is Stromboli. And so I hope you try it. I hope you make it. I saved the other piece of dough, the other half. I'll probably freeze it, wrap it up, put it in a freezer bag, and use it another time. Again, you can make a sweet version with some butter and brown sugar and cinnamon. Make like a coffee cake. So it's a very versatile dough. Make anything you want with it, really. It's a good dough aside from the Stromboli. So enjoy, and check out my other videos up on Cumberland Public Library's YouTube page. Check out our events calendar on Cumberland Public Library's Facebook page, and keep coming back and watching videos with me. I enjoy cooking for you, and I hope to see you again soon.